an effort to support open source, open standards, and technologies like Tosca, OpenStack. Can you explain to us why IBM sees this is critical for success of cloud adoption?
Dr. Sadagopan and Dr. Guru, both of you talked very eloquently about integration, interoperability, and scalability, right? And if you do that in a proprietary way, there is no way you can achieve any of these things, right? So I'll give you some specific examples. So I typically work on two areas which are related to cloud, right? And as Dr. Sadagopan said, I should not say cloud computing. It is just ingrained in what we do. So the first area I work quite a bit, and Vijay is a key member of it, is infrastructure as a service, right? So in that area, what you will see is when you are planning the deployment of your infrastructure, or if you are planning the provisioning of that infrastructure, what you need to do is, and what we are actively doing is, we are embracing things like the Tosca standard, right? And you can look at some of these standards as, when I started programming, we had in Unix these makefiles, right? So we used to do a build of it and include the .h file and stuff like that, right? So where cloud computing is heading towards is infrastructure as a code. So what you will see is, just like you were able to build your projects, now as part of your entire cloud infrastructure, and you just don't need the source code, right? But you also need the infrastructure to be part of it. So what standards like Tosca will allow you to do is, and Dr. Guru talked about patterns, right? So patterns for software, patterns for infrastructure. So these are the things that you will be able to do in a fairly standard way by using standards like Tosca. So look at Tosca as having a makefile wherein you can talk about the topology of your infrastructure, the relationship between them, and the likes, right? So that is how we use Tosca as one of the standards. It is very much open source. Earlier days, you had to do all these things manually, right? And what this helps us achieve is the key thing, the third thing, Dr. Guru, which you said was automation, right? So by virtue of automation, you can achieve the huge scale that you want, as well as quick time to value for your solutions. So Tosca is one thing that we do quite a bit. Dr. Guru talked about OVIRT, right, which is adoption of KVM as being more prevalent in the cloud computing arena. So Vijay actually is involved in a project that looks at how do you data replication in a KVM type environment. So we look at those things very in a big way. The third thing we look at is, as was mentioned, OpenStack, right? So as part of your cloud infrastructure, you have to worry about compute, networking, and storage, and how, say, a networking device from Juniper connects in your cloud environment, or how F5 connects in your cloud environment, or how you use NetApp, right, from a storage standpoint. Now, earlier days, we used to do it in a proprietary way. So if you are familiar with some of the IBM products, we didn't do it the open way, and there was some effort in doing it by our own selves, and the adoption of it was also not as much as we would have wanted. But by, again, using standards, we are able to do some of these things very quickly, and more so, we are able to have community participation as part of it. So we are embracing open standards and OpenStack in a big way. And Vijay, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Thanks, Omkar. So Vishay, Omkar gave us a view from the product side of things. Okay. These are most of our products are built on top of OpenStack. We exploit Tosca and everything. From a system integrator perspective, what are the success factors for, when you say, for cloud adoption?
First of all, thank you for having me here. I think it's a pleasure and privilege to be on the podium as Professor and Dr. Gururaj. And in fact, Professor's campus is right across where I go to work every day. So and I've heard it many times, and again, thank you. So on the cloud adoption front, I think what we are seeing in the market is, if you look at both from a infrastructure as well as the software and the application side. Let me talk about the infra space. And of course, we have multiple vendors, both on the who cross over both on the IIS as well as the software, whether it be a service or providing such services to the infrastructure lying underneath. The first thing is on the adoption side, things like DevOps, right? One of the things that we preach, or rather we advise clients, is that they need to look at DevOps something as a critical enterprise capability for continuous software delivery. So by that, what we mean is, if you look at the, and then most of us out here, system integrators, one of the things that we see today is the workloads around SAP on private cloud, just as an example. And we know when you're addressing, such a migration, today in a typical enterprise in a SAP environment, they have multiple development environments, be it testing, UAT, production, and so on. Currently, we are doing some work for a pharma distributor. They have about 42 test and UAT and pre-prod environments. So when you talk about DevOps in such a environment, we see just in the infrastructure space close to a reduction of 35 to 40%. And then when you start automating the processes of software delivery, software development, and testing, the complete life cycle. And then since DevOps stresses on collaboration across all the stakeholders, and these kind of value additions, value items is what clients are seeing first as something that helps them towards cloud adoption. And the other thing, of course, is the way infrastructure gets delivered, be it from an external source such as hosted private cloud or public cloud adoption, or even the converged infrastructure systems that we, including IBM, today have in the market. So we look at helping clients get onto cloud, adopt cloud for their enterprises from multiple angles, and again, these are and then while we talk to them, it's not selling technology, it's selling business value, and I think we are very clear on that. So addressing the operational problems, and drawing out a roadmap, what they would see in the very near term. I think that's key. And early on, 5-10 years ago, we used to talk about enterprise life cycle being 5-10 years, and I think clients are not willing to wait that long. So they need to see value quickly, and we are there to identify that from multiple angles and sources.
Thanks, Raj. So, Raj, we have heard for the last 2 days about analytics, social, mobile, and all that. Do you see most of the IT companies in India talk about it a lot? So do you see all these technologies converge at some point? Like the analytics is driving the cloud market somewhere. So do you think all these will converge together and will come under a single technology?
I don't know whether that will become a single technology, but convergence is happening, right? None of these 4 technologies, the smart stack, what we talk about, can't stand on its own unless you do it for very, very tactical stuff. If you really want a business value, all these 4 play against each other, with each other, to give you a better output for the industry. Anything you take, right? Even that we talked about the connected car. We want to measure the driver's behavior and try to make the insurance pay per use. Instead of, if I buy a vehicle, instead of paying for the entire year, some X number of dollars or rupees, we want to say, hey, depending on your usage pattern, I'm going to charge you. If you drive in a busy city all the time with brake and very quickly, I want to charge you more. Or if you're going in a freeway with no traffic around you, you want to charge less. That's a traffic pattern based, or the driver behavior based. All that, if you look at that, that involves everything, right? There is a device. It could be just a mobile device. In fact, one of the companies have come out, you don't have to even put a device in the car. Your mobile can act as a device as well. So we connect to the car, then connect it to the cloud, and do the analytics at the back end, and then provide the services back to that. All these 4 are getting connected. Any example, if you go to San Francisco, the drivers, any car driver can take your credit card and attach a small thing to his mobile, the Square stuff, right? You can pay by when you are flying. He doesn't need a device or anything like that. He connects it to the mobile device, on the cloud, on the back-end analytics, and the payment system. So it's already happening. Bringing value to the customers is only by thinking all the SMAC together. Whether we like it or not, we will be having all these four play a major role in every IT industry. But it doesn't mean the old things will go away. Still, we have a lot of mainframes running in the payroll systems, and all these things are still happening. But the smart technologies will be part and parcel of every IT infrastructure. So for me, cloud is more like what Dr. Gurra said. It's a workload management. We need to manage the mainframe systems as well as the mid-range and everything together. Will there be one way I can manage it? That's where the DevOps, what he talked about, also plays a big role. I need a management facility to manage all these pieces, whether it's a mainframe or a mid-range or a converged box. Even the converged boxes are taking into different shapes and forms right now, but we need a common mechanism to do that. That's why hopefully some standards will evolve, so that the OpenStack, some people say it will take another 5 years, but no. Otherwise, the Amazons of the world are going to take a major share. So now all the other competitors have realized and they have come together, including IBM joined recently to that OpenStack. So we think that is the only answer we will be playing with us.
Professor Govan, you want to add something on this?
Nothing much, look at cloud as a natural evolution. That's first, So it is not that somebody suddenly got a nirvana and something like that. This is a very natural kind of an evolution that happens in every other industry. Oftentimes it is good to go outside of IT industry, then you will get. Look at what happened, right? The famous GE, okay? They came with a bulb, and then, to sell the bulb, you also need electricity. They came with the generator. Then putting too many generators is too much of a mess. They came with a power plant. Then you have a power plant, you have to evacuate electricity. Then you came with a transmission system. Then, the transmission fellows can't do it in a very dense place like a city. You need a distribution system, right? So in some sense, what we call as a 3-tier is a generation, transmission, distribution, right? I tell you this one, like when Indira Gandhi kind of started the Madras Atomic Power Project, okay, failures are there often, right? And particularly failures happen when there is a show, When one of the Windows was launched by Bill Gates, it failed, right? So we all know. So when Indira Gandhi pressed the button, the lights went up. But some of us knew the actual power came from Mettur electricity plant. That is the beauty, right? I think that is precisely what cloud is doing, right? So what happened? You don't know where the server is. You don't know where the MIPS is coming from. You don't know where the storage is coming from. So ultimately people want information, right? I want to do a process. I want to do maybe an e-commerce transaction. I want to be able to download something. I want to be able to kind of look at, a doctor wants to look at a patient's record. So we don't want them to be tired, you don't want them to remember an IP number. You don't want them to type the URL. Who cares, right? So I think that is what actually cloud as such it provides. And that is the reason why cloud will succeed, even if everybody wants to stop it. Because that is what ultimately people want, right? People want, I want water. I don't know whether it's come from Ganga or Kaveri, right? And for me, it is delivered in a bottle, right? I don't care. Actually, Tatas are supposed to have a bottling plant in Himalayas. Okay? But you could actually be drinking it in Kerala, right? And that is a beauty. I think cloud delivers that beauty. It is basically an orchestration beauty. As good old principle, right? Information at the right time, at the right place, in the right man, in the right form. It's a very cliche, but that is what people want. So, in that sense, it is a very natural evolution of cloud.
Thank you, Professor.
I hope I answered it.
Yeah, sure. So, Dr. Guru, do you see the enterprise systems like mainframes or very high-end Unix servers do play a critical role in the cloud adoption? I'm coming from the background because if you look at most of the public clouds, they are on the cheaper versions of these servers. So what role they play as we go forward?
So let me piggyback on what the professor was saying, right? The realities of the world really haven't changed much. I would say cloud has been proven to be successful. Why do I say that? The reason I say that is because I am part of a customer council that IBM learns by dealing with major customers. And this is specifically for the high-end, we call it the advanced Z business council leaders. And for the last 5 years, we have been discussing in that space, cloud, what needs to be done for cloud, and to get their perspective. These are the top banks. These are the top insurance companies. These are the top retailers. These are the top telecom others. So, you know what they tell us? What do you think we have been doing for the past 45 years? We have built an internal enterprise cloud. The mainframe has provided cloud computing as the backbone of every single frigging enterprise on earth. We have done that. So what do you want me to do differently? When you say cloud computing, we understand IT, we understand business, and you can't tell us what we need to do. We all. Now, I want to make 2 points with that. One, the realities of what cloud computing is trying to do has been done and has been done extraordinarily well for 40 years because the Western civilization has been built on it. No question about it. However, what has been done is only for a certain set of workloads for a certain set of enterprise customers. It is like you buy a few years ago in the automobile industry, anti-lock brakes are being able to provide defrosters. Even today, you can buy a Mercedes where there's the little wiper that wipes the headlights. Fundamentally important, but it is not done anybody else. Is it because it's not doable, like the professor was saying? It can be done. Obviously, there's a combination of business model, there is a combination of innovation, who makes the money, how you make the money. All of them are important, okay? But the users, what people want, which is what the professor said, has been understood and has been built. So the challenge is, how do you make it affordable? How do you build it on a garden variety of systems, if you want to call it that? Not all of them are capable. Not all of them are equal, right? Why do I say that? The professor knows there is something called the tape-oriented automata system, the very first one that was ever built, right? The very first one that was conceptualized. Every single computer that has been built is an extension of it. Why not just build the original one? Because it is not good enough. So what it comes down to is, how do you keep on building the foundation that I mentioned earlier better and better so that you can build better things? And in that space, mainframes are able to take existing clients as well as new clients forward. In the growth markets, for example, there is Nanjing government that is building a cloud information structure on the basis of the mainframe, including the ZBX or the hybrid system, right? Algar Telecom, a Brazilian company in the growth market, right? They are building, once again, on the basis of the enterprise systems, a combination of power, mainframe, as well as Intel architecture blades that are part of it. They are building a cloud infrastructure on it. The reason why it can be done is what Onkar said and what I mentioned earlier in my talk, which is understanding that cloud, as Deep said yesterday, cloud equals virtualization, virtualization management, workload, driven down, doing the right things. And our systems have been doing virtualization forever, whether it be power or mainframe, and they have been building in the capabilities for open capabilities, like OpenStack was discussed earlier. The very first virtualization on the mainframe, which is 45 years old, is ZVM. ZVM, perhaps even the professor has done something on this. ZVM now participates in OpenStack based way of supporting cloud infrastructure. Today, it is shipping. So all it requires is building the right software that is available on the basis of a Linux environment. Bring it in and it works. Now, we are getting exactly the same state on our power systems. Power has done fantastic virtualization, Power VM. We said, that's good, but not good enough. We need to get to open source based way. We need to build KVM, which is gaining traction in the growth markets, right? And that needs to be optimized to power, and that's Power KVM. And on top of that, build OpenStack based ways of Linux based workloads. It's called Power VC, Power Virtualization Center, with user interfaces that are modern, GUI based, and programmatic, so that you can drive down from top down. And by the way, the top down is happening in the mainframe space too. So all I'm saying is, number one, we've been there, done that. When I say we, I'm talking about our customer set. It can be done again, it will be done again, because the right things are being built.
I just want to add, only the cost is the issue, right? Nobody questions that, all the technologies were there and have been there for a long time. But if you look at the cost perspective, that's what people are looking for, to become very cost effective. In fact, I was talking to the CTO of Amazon. He was saying after the games played on the Amazon, the next highest workload they have, surprisingly, it's a banks doing risk analytics on Amazon over the weekends. They don't want to name the banks, they don't want to even disclose the people who are using it, but the heavy load of risk analytics is done on public cloud, taking it because the cost is very, very low and they can get it done within 1 hour, because to set it up in a data center, it may take a lot of time and effort and building it up. So that piece of making the on-demand at a very least cost-effective way is the key. I mean, I think IBM products are very good compared to only the price is the issue. I mean, whatever we have been dealing with. I don't know whether I can say it politically in this meeting or not, but that is the issue. If IBM can focus on the price point and then compete, then only we'll have to see the end goal. That's my...
No, that's a very good observation, because that's why I said mentioned earlier. It comes down to the innovation and the business model. If you have the innovation, you can always fix the business model. Trust me, right? If you don't have the innovation, you can't go lead with it. So Amazon got a good start, but if you look at what Amazon is doing, by the way, none of this is to refute what you're saying, Raj, and that is, there is always a healthy debate, private, public, right? And people, when I discuss the data centers, people are investigating how far you can take public-based cloud. Banks are trying it. I know, for example, there are a few tier 3 kind of banks. Some of them will succeed, some of them will not succeed, but that's how the industry works. It is try what's there and what's possible. But my point is, it's a combination of the business model, it's a combination of who is doing it, and every one of the, whether it be the Amazons or the Googles, they are the new breed of data centers, and they have certain characteristics. That's what I mentioned earlier. These are coming in from certain workloads they know how to do very well, right? Like Microsoft and Intel claimed 10 years ago, by the way, we can replace a mainframe, because every single freaking thing that the mainframe can do, we can do. They said that. HP tried to build them. It's called alternative mainframes. Mainframes are still doing very well, as Deep pointed out, right? Because the fundamental characteristics of what people and enterprises and consumers need are not done by exactly the same way. This is not to say that Amazon is not going to succeed in doing, public cloud-based everything. However, things that want to find its own level. That's what my way of saying it. If there is genuine value, people are building on that. If genuine value is there somewhere else, that's where it's going to go. So it is innovate, experiment, and that's how the industry is going to work.
Hey, thanks, Abdullah. Raj, Cloud Foundry, AppFact, Heroku are becoming more of a niche stuff in the things. It's from the innovation perspective, from the technology perspective. These are being touted as more of the success stories, right? On the past front at least. Do you see some of the similar products coming up in a near future, which can address some of the some similar segments or some disparate segment, but helping out the development community of what they want to do from the DevOps and other perspective? And how does SI plan to take it?
See, basically, I'll tell you, recently McKinsey published a report. They just talked to 550 CIOs and published the report. It talks about 80% of the people want to go in a private cloud way, not public, as Dr. Gurra said, because of various reasons for regulations and security.